Hi, this is the zine-tuber channel. I don't live stream, and I make video content about whatever I want to talk about. Hi, I'm a doodle drawer. What? Oh wait, that came out wrong. I'm an artist, and I'm working on a little comic project. But of course, me being a video guy, a cartoon skeleton, working man, and artist, I've got stuff to work on. So I figure, hey, why not bring you in on the process and show you a couple things to just, show you kind of how I do comics. So, come draw a comic with me. I mean, if you want to, but, you don't have to. You click the video, so, why not draw with me? So for some context, one of my main characters of the story, Melvin the Skeleton, is hanging out with his girlfriend Sarah the Poltergeist at her house, which is a haunted house owned by her father. Sarah and Melvin are moving a table when Sarah's mother calls her over to the other room, at which Sarah's father calls Melvin over to help him. That's the basic gist of the page. So in this first panel, we have the establishing shot. The truck outside Sarah's house surrounded by corn. One of the first things that you'll probably pick up on is my very neat art style. Okay, that's a bit of a joke. My lines look like they have been drawn while my hand was having a bit of a fit. Fast and loose. Mostly because I'm comfortable with that sort of thing. I do take my time on longer lines, but most of the time I'm sort of drawing fast and loose with things. It shares in common with a lot of art styles that I like Tim Burton's art comes to mind, and of course Mr. Fuji Motivation himself, both having this sort of unkempt style to the lines. I kind of try to keep to a page-a-day schedule, though I'm not always good on that, which for a little indie artist like me, that works great. I'm my own boss, and unless I just never want to do art again, I can't fire myself. Though that also means that I'm the man to blame when something isn't drawn right. Like this part over the tire. Oof. But no matter, I'll just draw the piece I missed, and then just draw a bunch of scratchy little hatching lines over here to make it look like I did it right the first time. I did it right the first time. You won't tell, will you? You can see that my rooftop lines are janky as all get out, as well as the corn. Though a lot of the times with these smaller panels, since you won't be able to get all of the detail in there, it's okay to be a little bit messy. At least with these Sharpie markers I got. Though if you got a bigger panel, it's probably good to detail all this stuff and just put as much detail as you can and don't get lazy. So make sure you just scraggle and detail the bejeebus out of everything, because if you don't, I don't know, the police may show up maybe? I don't know. I'm just a goofy cartoon skeleton. But all jokes aside, this is kind of my little secret, not secret little thing to making my mistakes look like it's part of the art. I do a lot of scratchy cover-up shading lines and things like that, just to kind of make things look like I kind of pre-planned them, but at the same time, just kind of working with the mistakes. To the best of my abilities, of course. Now, a funny little thing that just kind of drives me up the wall with my own artwork is just a lack of unused space. At least for me. Sometimes I can deal with it, but most times on a not, I feel like I have to fill up the space with these scraggly lines and kind of pointless lines and shading and things like that and details like that. Mostly just so it doesn't feel naked or under-detailed in my eyes. I don't know, I'm just kind of funny about my line art in some ways. So right off the bat in this panel, I forgot to draw the eyebrows first. A cardinal sin that I can never be forgiven of. Until now, cause I can just scraggle the heck out of this area. This solution, of course, is not a one-size-fits-all thing. And with the way that I draw eyebrows, this is just kind of a way that I can cover over them, but of course, this is not just the way to do this sort of thing. And if you can, just do it right the first time, sketch over things, and then of course, don't do what I did. Though luckily for me, a lot of the uneven coloring and all that stuff will kind of go away once I scan them in, since all the black areas will just be full on black, and they'll just, naturally blend like that. Upping the contrast is very much a lifesaver in this respect. You can also see that I use a ton of hatching lines. A lot of the dimension I try to bring to my character's designs comes from just these overly detailed hatching lines. Though I can also bring a lot of dimension to some characters without them, of course. Like, for instance, the character Sarah and her mother over here. They're both ghosts, so I just kind of leave them significantly less detailed and kind of bring out other features like their hair, their eyes, and their nose with these little line things around. I do this for these sorts of characters mostly just so they stand out a little bit, because just like with over-detailing, you can make a character stand out against a really under-detailed background. But of course, if your background is over-detailed, you can make a character stand out by under-detailing them. Or under-detailing them in comparison to other detailed characters, that way you make them stand out against them. A little bit of a side tangent, but there's another little detail that I like to do with these ghost characters that makes them, I think, stand out. I kind of like to be able to see the background through these characters. Since they're ghosts and you can usually see through a ghost, it's really kind of just one of those little details that I like to put in to just make them feel more like a ghost. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll do these little tiny lines and stuff and just kind of lightly draw out the background in the ghost characters. That way it makes it look like you're kind of seeing through them, but on another level you're also almost giving some texture to them as well. Treating their skin almost like a mirror or like a piece of glass or something like that, and making the background behind them look all deformed when you're looking through them. But of course, you kind of have to be a little careful when doing this sort of thing, because if you don't do this just right, they can also get kind of lost in an overly detailed background by having these details drawn over them. So it's good to have these lines look a little broken up and not quite detail these things in some spots. Like I'll detail the background through the hair or through the dress, but not through the face, just so you can still see the expressions and everything. So for this last section, I decided to draw these two panels. These ones were a bit on the tricky side, because I'm essentially doing the things that I mentioned in the previous panel, as well as the things that I mentioned in that first panel I showed off. A large space, tiny panel, characters that need to be defined against the background. I'm also having to constantly look back and forth between previous pages to make sure that I got the area being drawn accurate to what I had drawn before. I had to draw, redraw, repencil while I was inking, just a bunch of different little things that, you know, are a little bit on the unprofessional side, and I would probably be a little bit hated in the professional world because I'm constantly doing everything in a little bit of an unorthodox way. But hey, I'm working indie, so that's, yeah, and boo-boo. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this last one, but that's mostly just because most everything that I could say was probably more or less explained in these last two sections. Though I will mention this little bit over here. So I actually had to add a detail to the other panels after the fact with this one, because I kind of stumbled on Sarah's hand on the right side of the panel here. I couldn't really draw her hand right, and me being me, I inked it and everything, and it just kind of looked all jank. So what did I do? I drew a swirly little plant thing in the bowl to cover up the janked up hand, and then I added it accordingly to the other panels. The plank boards were also something of note while I was drawing. So a lot of times with wall decor, I'll just draw and ink the wall decor first, and then go back over and detail all the planks and boards and just whatever little small details that I'd put on the walls. This is so I don't have to fret over the idea of accidentally just like erasing like the paintings and things like that on the walls, or just other little decor things. I got no time to stress over them little details. I gotta get a page out today. You also have to go take pictures of Spider-Man! Yes sir, Mr. Jameson. It's also pretty fun to actually draw all the wall decor as well as some of the paintings and things like that. I kind of just get to go wild with all the paintings and just kind of just put fun little designs in all of them. I also like doing that for like posters and things like that. I feel like doing little things like that just kind of fleshes out the world a little bit, even if it's just in a little small way. And with that, it's conclusion time. Alright gang, I hope you had fun on this little side questy sort of video that I totally didn't do because the rabbit hole video I made previously took me way too long to export, and I wanted a cakewalk video to do instead this time around. This little cakewalk video was a lot of fun to make, and getting to show you guys what I'm doing behind the scenes, as well as imparting some little tricks to you guys as far as my creative process. I think it's a lot of fun. I love talking about it, so if you want more of this kind of thing, please let me know down below. Alright guys, that's it for me. Subscribe if you want to stay tuned for what I got in the pipeline. I don't know when I'm going to post next, but if you like these sorts of videos, stick around. The door is always open at the Doom Room Bebop. Take care guys.